magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast. What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's the Transformers Slag Podcast, our live stream main event. I'm your host, Proto Man, the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you hear Monday to Friday. It is Saturday night. We're going to be talking Transformers. We're going to be chilling. We're going to be taking some super chats from the fans. We got a lot to cover. It is the Shizuoka Hobby Show weekend in Japan. A lot of stuff was shown, a lot of new product. Blockies was dropping all kinds of stuff. We had a new episode of Transformers Wild King to dissect little things. We got a lot to talk about. And we're closing in on the pretty much jam-packed summer convention stream of stuff that's going to be happening. June's going to be a little quiet, but man, July and August is going to be nutty. So let's jump into it like we always do. Who's in the chat? We got Oscar, we got Timmy, we got Princeton. What's up, Ninjatron? We got Will Murphy, we got Patrick Brown. James is here. Autovolt is one of my patrons. Cringe McCringle's patron and YouTube member, double dipping. YLagY, T-Formers 2002, also double dipping. James, Patrick Brown, I don't want to miss nobody. Everything's flying in. Ashnut is here. Who else do we got? Oh my goodness. Everyone is flying in right now. Ashnut's here. The Black Staff. Gee, I wonder what that is. Giggity. Timmy K Points Extra, Rudy Mack, Patrick Brown, Will Murphy. Decepticon for life, what's up? Anyways, Joshua. So let's get into it. Got a few things we got to cover. And then we'll open it up to the super chats. And we will pop off with everything. So let's start, of course, first with the Shizuoka Hobby Show. Tons of stuff was there. I almost felt like I'm leaving out some stuff because there's even Transformer adjacent stuff that was shown this weekend, like the Brave Yusha stuff that was shown. They showed some Microman new stuff, which again has kind of that adjacent Transformer lineage and connection there. What's up, Larry? And yeah, so it's something where there's a lot to talk about. We're just going to pretty much cover the standard Transformer stuff, but man, I could probably do a whole live stream tonight just talking about all the crazy cool stuff that was shown this weekend. I mean, SH Figure Arts talking about doing more Marvel stuff. Like, there was just tons of stuff there. Tons of stuff. So let's jump into it. We got a lot to cover. We'll start, of course, first with our new masterpiece that's coming out. This one we had a listing for this a while back. So we kind of knew it was coming, and combined with the fact that when we got that Grapple masterpiece, geez, I want to say it was like 5-6 years ago. When we got that, I think it was more than like 7 years ago. When we got that Grapple, we knew sooner or later they were going to obviously take advantage of this mold outside of the Inferno that came before it. So that MPG, it's going to be the MP35 Grapple is now getting its Road Hauler treatment, the MPG 17 Road Hauler. Throwing it back to the obscure and just making the best of that mold. We don't know much else about this. Their plaquette that they have at the show didn't have much information. But if this is MPG 17, and we know that, if this is MPG 18, this is MPG 18. So MPG 17, which is the Style Gen Convoy, is going to be coming out in March of 2026. And this comes after that. So if you are excited about your Constructicon adjacent Grapple Road Hauler, one episode and then you're gone character, you might have to wait quite a bit because, again, if Style Gen Convoy is March 2026, what's this guy? April, June? You're talking, dare I say, minimum of a year of waiting for sure before you get him. Accessories, we don't know. It comes with, from what we could see here, the Inferno gun and one of the missile blaster hands. Otherwise, it looks like the same kind of tooling. The actual Grapple figure itself came with a whole bunch of extra accessories that were really character specific to him and the show. So I doubt that he'll have like, the mock-up of the tower and stuff like that that the original one had. So stay tuned for that. Price wise, again, if we're basing it off of how much the grapple cost, and that was like 7 years ago, it's about, oh, we got a super chat. Oh, just $2. Thank you, ZM, for the super chat. Thank you so much. You should ask a question too, bud. It's something where 7 years ago, the grapple was 12,000 yen, which with exchange back then was about $81 USD. I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to be $81. I think it's going to be a lot more, even if it might be the same figure, but less. So just keep that in mind with this guy. To the right of it, we have the Missing Link stuff. Very hyped about this one. Again, let me go reach for the two that I got because I love them. These are the vanilla versions of them. Very, very cool. So I dig them. And I really like what's popping that they're going to be doing now. This is going to be called Missing Link C09 Cybertron Heroes Set. It's going to be a anime accurate version of what I just showed on the screen. So the Bumblebee's going to have them anime accurate head as opposed to the toy accurate head. The clear translucent windows, the black molded plastic is now a light gray to match the coloring of the animation from the show. All the weapons that were originally chrome are also going to be kind of a matte gray. The Cliff Jumper looks like it has a standardized head sculpt. I think it looks great. I kind of hope that by doing it as a 2-pack, maybe they could ask less than what I paid individually, and then it would give people an opportunity to want to partake in Missing Link because, I mean, I love what Missing Link is doing, and I think it's great. Price-wise, hard to say. Hard to say. Again, 2-packs, wish I had nearby. Actually, one moment. Let me just go grab. Let me show you. So, 1 second. Planning it all. This is all planned in advance, of course. So, normally Missing Link stuff comes in a box like this, and then it's a box in a box, which then has that, which they do with a lot of the T-Spark and high-end items if you have like masterpieces. So I imagine if they could somehow cut down on the cost of box, and display stuff like that, it's something that if you put it in a fancier box like this, you could cut down a little bit on the individual cost that it would have cost you maybe to get Cliff Jumper and Bumble or Bumblebee. And yeah, maybe we'll get something that's, I don't know, cheaper would be cool. And then people could pick this up because I know that a lot of people, the biggest complaint that they had about the Bumblebee and the Cliff Jumper was how small it is. Oh my God, it's expensive for how small it is. But the reality is these are one for one the same size as the original G1 1984 micro changer releases from back in the day. So it is what it is. But I really hope people enjoy these. We don't have prices, like I said before. We don't have a release date. But again, much like the logic I'm applying to the MPG Road Hauler here, if the RC that we're getting, CO8, is supposed to come out October 2025, then maybe the CO9 here will come out after that. At least it'll probably be this year, I hope. My speculation of it being this year is unlike this hauler here, this one at least has a box. It looks like it's a final product. It looks like it's ready to go. It's just a matter of shipping dates and stuff like that in production. So we'll see how that pops off. But looking good, looking really good. I'm actually tempted to pick these up all over again just because of how much I love the Missing Link stuff. Looks really good. Decepticon for Life says, I got the Cliff Jumper and I love him. I love the Cliff Jumper too. If I had to pick one, I'd get the Cliff Jumper because he comes with the extra big old bazooka. So it looks good. Cringe McCringle, I'll take a Missing Link animated blackout. Well, I don't know. I think you just want a regular animated blackout. That's what I think a lot of people would like. It's such a shame how much that goes for now. Whole story with that one, let me tell you. Then we got, of course, let's talk about this. We've covered it multiple times already, but now we got way better prototype images because the prototype was present at the show and they had some nice picto photography showing all the different parts and pieces. the Bazara Prime celebrating the 30th anniversary of Macross 7, along with the 40th anniversary of Transformers in Japan, 1985. And yeah, Bazara Prime looks fantastic. Multiple faces, the guns, the weapons, the shields. And the big surprise that was shown at the show here, the mobile trailer that transforms into a soundstage. Again, I'm very curious to see how it attaches to the Valkyrie. Is it going to be done like, again, Star Saber style, flying mobile trailer? Or is it something that attaches at the bottom of the Valkyrie? Or is it something that's just going to stay on the ground as a separate thing? We will see, but very cool. Very, very cool. Dig it a lot. And again, no prices. And all we have in terms of dates is summer of 2025. So check that out, yo. And then, of course, we got this monstrosity. I know some people were not receiving this one too well. Where I'm excited about it, but I will agree that it's a little phoned in. The idea. This is our first ever Synergenex collab T Spark concept, where it's three different collabs in one. You got Transformers, you got Zoids, and you got Diaclone. Again, if you removed the Diaclone element from it, I wouldn't even know if it was there or not outside of those two Diaclone drivers and the Shin Diaclone line. And even the Optimus element. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a transforming Shield Liger from Zoids, from the original Zoids, and it has an Optimus Prime head plopped on it, like a very G1-esque Optimus Prime head plopped on it. I feel they could have went with something a little more, I don't know, a little more unique. Again, I love Zoids. I love Shield Liger, Liger Zero, like all of that Zoid stuff throughout the lineages of the years. Um, but this is a bizarre one. And considering that it's going to be something that I feel is going to be priced more, because we don't have prices here, but I feel this is going to be priced more within the Shin Diaclone Masterpiece line and the stuff that's adjacent to that. So I'm thinking this is going to be a pricey item. It's a very cool looking item, but it's a very pricey item. And I feel that it being a pricey item and it's not as dynamic as it could have been makes me kind of on the fence if I want to get this. It's definitely something, maybe Amazon Japan does a sale. I don't know. And I'll bite the bullet on it. We'll see. But I'm excited about seeing more Zoid stuff if they do it. But I hope it's not just like, hey, let's take Jazz's head and just plop it on a, I don't know, cyber, cyber underwater shark or whatever. I'm trying to think of what would be good for Jazz. I don't know. I don't know. Either way, then we got this one here, the Ava Prime. We don't have a date or anything yet. The translation here that we have here is second collaboration, and under it, it says currently in production. So more information to come. So stay tuned for that. Is, you know, from what we could tell from the silhouette here, and a lot of people have speculated kind of the same thing, is I think they might use something that's more of a movie aesthetic. People are seeing like the wheels on the hips, the way the feet look. I know it's hard to see it here with this image, but if you look past the captions at the bottom, the feet look very like the Michael Bay era kind of Optimus. So there's a strong possibility we might have a fusion of Ava Unit 1 along with like a movie Optimus. Let's see how that turns out. It's impossible to tell how it looks in a silhouette, but Transformers has done at least three different collaborations with Ava up to this point. So now Ano is going to be doing his fourth one here with this one. Hopefully it turns out nice. And I know a certain someone who lives in this house that's a big fan of Evangelion that is very curious to see how this one turns out. So we'll see. We'll probably get more information on this one uh, maybe around San Diego Comic-Con, because I know that we had a lot of Japanese reveals last San Diego, and including collaboration stuff. So I could kind of see this being a July SDCC kind of thing and a big reveal with that. Because I know that Bandai had a huge booth, um, and all the whole stuff that was going on with Godzilla and Ultraman and all the other Toku stuff and everything. I could totally see Ava for their 30th anniversary at San Diego Comic-Con having it at their booth or something. Instead of it being at the Hasbro booth, it'll be at the Evangelion booth or something. They'll do something like that because that's something I could totally see. And we'll be there to report it if we do see it. So, for sure. And then, of course, we got more high-end items here that were also on display. The Adamus Machina line, which is these. It's I feel like it's not masterpiece, but it's not like in that same realm of like the Hot Toys and statue kind of collectors. It's kind of like in between that where it's like, okay, it's a masterpiece level item, but it's even more expensive because it uses more intricacy. It's more stylized, so it doesn't step on what Masterpiece is doing. I mean, the Rodimus Lost Light version, if you look at what Jack Lawrence was drawing as Rodimus in Lost Light, it looks nothing like this in terms of that aesthetic. It's a stylized version of Jack Lawrence's art, and even to a minor extent, uh, Alex Milne's. And it's kind of the same thing. The Predaking on the right here, which is a separate combiner, they each have separate individual limbs that make the individual robots of the Predacons. This is much more like Obari's design than it is how Predaking was depicted in 99% of the other episodes and the toy itself. I think it looks great. I think it looks fantastic. But again, this is something that kind of falls in a much more of a high-end collector category. The Rodimus in its regular colors originally was on Hasbro Pulse for $199.99, so $200 pretty much. So I'm going to assume if this comes with all the same things, the two guns, the communicator, the individual pieces and stuff, uh, this is something that I could see also probably just being in the same price range, $200 item. The Predaking, on the other hand, this thing is, I'm thinking complete Raiden level pricing. And complete Raiden was already cracking the $1,000 mark. So if you're excited about this, get that wallet ready. Let's put it that way. I'm interested, but I'm not $1,000 interested. I've said this many times on the podcast. $1,000 gets you a lot in the Transformer world of old product. And sometimes if you gave me $1,000, there's a lot of old product I'd like to visit as opposed to just getting this Predaking. So let me know what you think. Pretty pricey though, but again, it's the Adamus line, and Adamus always has kind of been for that more high end kind of collector. And by the way, again, both of these completely transformable, all of that, and they're both these are hand painted prototypes right now, so the final product may vary in coloring and stuff like that. Going from the extremely expensive to the extremely affordable, we have an update. We did an individual segment about it, talking about the Blockies Galaxy version Wave 7, aka Wave 2 of the Transformer 1 stuff. Here's everything now, minus the chase with its extra accessories. The Final Form Megatron on the top left there has the cog. The chase version will have the branding stamp seen on the bottom of it. But otherwise, here's all the accessories that everything comes with, more or less, obviously excluding the extra hands and stuff that each figure will come with, and a stand and a trading card. But this is kind of the final update of what's happening with that Blockies line. As for the 11th member, because you have the 9 here, you have the Chase Megatron, that's the 10th, and then you have the 11th member here, which is the Silver Tracker. So the story with that is if you get the latest wave that we just talked about, and you get all 9 figures, each one of those figures come with a QR card, and that QR card has a scanner on the back, and you scan the back of that card, and if you are a Chinese resident with the Weibo Blockies app, you could scan all, proving pretty much a proof of purchase that you got all 9. You scan all of them, and then you are qualified to get the Silver Tracker. So that's the only way you could get it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be other opportunities. I know that there's a Chinese online store that is trying to get inventory of some of these club exclusive stuff, not just Transformers, but the other club exclusive stuff across the other brands that Blockies is doing. And they've been getting good numbers of it. So what I do suggest is if you do see someone selling a silver tracker and it's exuberant amounts of money, do not pay that. I think opportunities will present themselves where these will be quite plentiful, considering that this is a promo item that they're trying to put out that is low cost for them. There's no new tooling here. They just painted the Death Tracker silver. That's all it is. There's no new weapons or accessories with it. So it's something where if you are interested, I would wait it out. And I'm pretty sure there will be a middleman or an opportunity for that that won't make you break the bank. And it's the same thing that's going on here because we also saw the Galaxy Defenders Wave 3. Same story, whole bunch of different figures, along with chase figures and stuff like that. Rodimus, aka Hot Rod, finally getting his first blocky officially. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm just going to get it just for the Roddy, if anything, and maybe the clear shockwave. But very, very cool. But the whole conversation is okay, well, what about those three Constructicons? What's going on with that upgrade kit that they're talking about? Same story. If you buy the Galaxy Defenders case and you end up with three Constructicons, those three Constructicons are going to have QR codes on trading cards. If you scan those three Constructicon QR codes, you do qualify for the upgrade kit. And this is how it looks along with the store display and everything like that. So I get a feeling people will get opportunities to pick these up. I think that it'll happen in some shape or form. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure that, there's money to be made here. There's probably a whole bunch of Chinese collectors that will scan those QR codes, get as many as they can, and then put them out in the market. And hey, you might have to pay a little bit, but considering that these are promo items, whatever you're paying would just be if you would have bought this if this was an available item to purchase anyways. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more on it. But as it stands right now, the actual blocky set, this one here, is available right now in China. So it should be shipping out to you if you did have it on pre-order or you have ordered it. Right now, people in China have it. So that's how we have all these updates on what pieces come at what. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more in the near future, as well as that one too. So, and last but not least, Transformers Wild King episode 5 has aired, and we got a blink and you'll miss it at the end of the episode, a teaser of the next energy beast, the blue Stegosaurus that is yet to be named. Clearly part of the Dino tribe already, clearly already joined them. And considering the fact that Megatron right now has Captain Volca, Spirit Turan, Leafback, and now this blue Stegosaurus, he now has 4 members to do a full wild docking of each one of his limbs. We do know that there is going to be a pterodactyl later that'll be joining us. That'll be yellow and electricity or lightning, but that'll probably be joining Megatron's side. We don't know yet, but now we have whoever this Stegosaurus is. We haven't seen his robot mode yet. Everything's being teased to us. We also have the next date for the next episode, which is going to be June 4th at 10 a.m. Japan time, or Transformer Tuesday in the West for us, June 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the episode is going to be called New Friends, New Threats. So it's going to be a couple of weeks until we get the next episode and learn more about this dude. But stay tuned for that here on the Transformer Slag podcast, and we'll keep you updated on that stuff and the good stuff that's popping with that. And that's more or less it for the news. There was quite a few things, though. Mikey and Louie, when we get that Hot Rod Rodimus normal size blocky, let's do it and let's build it. Man, those things, I mean, I love the blocky stuff. I really do. It's just, I love that it's entry level model kit stuff that people are willing to build. I feel like a broken record saying this every time, but I've been building Gundam model kits for years, and prior to building Gundam model kits, I even built, monogram airplane kits during my grade school years. And model kits, I've felt, especially in the West, have always had a stigma where people don't They don't want to engage with it because they think it's complicated and difficult and involves, a high level of skill entry, and there's a level to that. And I like that Blockies almost is by design developed in a way that there's skill levels to it. The early Blockies, like these ones, are just the most simplest assembly kind of system. And then you have the Galaxy Defenders ones that are slightly a little more complicated, but also, pretty simple to put together. And then you have the Action Edition ones that are much more traditional model kits that, again, do not require, just grab the Optimus, do not require you know, any kind of like advanced model making skills. Just have a cutter, and if you fail to have a cutter, get a pair of nail clippers. Like, no joke. Like, you know, we're talking Proto Man 1997, 1998, using nail clippers back in the day when I was building my Gundam and Macross kits. Like, I didn't have, my God hand snipper nibber that I have today. So it's something where the entry level is super low and easy, and it's painfully addictive. Let's put it that way. I always say nothing beats a product that when you get it, you spend hours with it. There's an old saying in Japan, it's called the 100 yen rule. And what the 100 yen rule with Japan is, if you buy something for every 100 yen that it costs, you should be able to get at least 1 hour for every 100 yen of enjoyment from it. So, like, and 100 yen, more or less is a dollar. It obviously goes up and down. But if you like buy a $6 figure and you don't get like $6 of assuming 6 hours of enjoyment out of it, was it worth those $6? So it's kind of the same thing where it's like, you buy these kits and you get quite a few hours of the building experience and the enjoyment after you built it and displaying it and photography and everything. So I always feel that that old Japanese adage of the 100 yen, value really works out with model kits. And I think that's why model kits are so prevalent and popular in Japan and the Pacific Rim and not so much so in the West, but is slowly picking up. Yeah, there's the pocket of hardcore Gundam model kit builders, but it is what it is. Uh, Ashton, my problem is with the blind boxes. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. It's a blessing in that it creates a great communal experience because you buy a case of that and you split it amongst people and then you all kind of have fun with that, which I've seen many times at TFCon. But it does suck if there's like a specific character you want. Look at me with the Galaxy Edition. I kind of just want Shockwave and Hot Rod. I could probably buy the whole case. Maybe Jaws D is going to want the Jazz. Maybe I could, sell some of the other ones to people if they want the Megatrons or whatever. But I mean, I just kind of want just the Hot Rod, and the Shockwave as an extra edition because I just love Shockwave. But it is what it is. It's clearly doing well for them. The fact that Blockies, not just Transformers, but as a whole, has put out so much product in such a short period of time shows just how successful they've been with all of this. And they have a very good relationship with Hasbro. And I mean, I forgot to mention this too, but a big reason why this guy isn't something that's easily available is they even said that Hasbro pretty much said that if they do this product, it could only be distributed in China because it will conflict with something that they're currently working on right now, which I mean, we all know what that is. So it's a good relationship they have with Hasbro. They're putting out a lot of good product, and I mean, I hope to see more of it, especially the Transformer One stuff. I feel that now that Transformers One is in our rear view mirror, but we love that movie so much, we want to have more product of it. But Hasbro just top ended so much of it with gimmick based stuff, with all those little silly products that they put that ended up going nowhere and ended up on clearance, that we're still like waiting for so many key characters. I mean, the sad irony is we look at how much product we got for, like, let's say the Michael Bay movie or like Revenge of the Fallen After the Fact or Dark of the Moon, how much of the main characters were top ended right out of the gate, where today it's like, look how long, like, we no one has Alita yet. Look how long we have to wait to get Alita. Look how long we have to get to, like, for Studio Series Alita, where if it was 2007 and that movie would have came out, I mean, Alita would have been wave one, like a lot of those things would have been wave one, like good Alita figures, not like some rock'em sock'ems or one steps or cog changers or any of that. And Alita got the shaft in a lot of product. So let's see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It is what it is, like I always say. Cringe Big Kringle, I'm not I'm gonna be screwed if Blockies make any alternators movie, animated, or prime designs. Well, I find that the Galaxy Defenders, that one seems to go more with the different kinds of ideas. Um, I mean, we have some animated alt mode Bumblebee already in the Galaxy Defenders one, so there is one. Oh, Mr. Tankies, you just dropped a whole bunch of them, didn't you? Didn't you, Mr. Tankies? Oh boy. Well, thank you, Mr. Tankies. I'm sure a lot of people are going to appreciate that. A whole bunch of YouTube memberships. Holy moly. Ninjatron, did you get one? That's all that matters. I want to see if Dylan, did you get one? Because Mr. Tankies has historically been doing this over the past couple of months, and Ninjatron always seems to be in the chat and never gets it. And I swear, Dylan, I don't think you're going to get it. My goodness. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Tankies, for gifting all those YouTube memberships to everybody. Thank you for supporting the podcast and everything we do here. Everything we do here in this crazy, crazy madness. Crazy madness. But yeah, Ninjatron, did you get it? I don't think Ninjatron got it. Unbelievable. 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 But yeah, gosh. Thank you again, Mr. Tankies. It's always, again, I love what I just want to just say this before I get into like sponsorship and stuff. Oh, Dylan, you didn't get it. Unbelievable. It's true. You got a shotgun Megatron. I just want to say, like, it's insane the community that the Transformer Slag podcast has. Like, every time I do cons, it's so remarkable just how many people come up to me and tell me how like the con is a part of their day. And like whenever I do like a really late segment, they like freak out. They're like, "Oh no, like he's not doing a Monday segment or he's not doing a Friday segment." I try to do a Monday to Friday. I try to put something out every day for you guys and have some cool content and good discussions and all the stuff that's going on in our hobby. And I just appreciate that you guys really love it. That you really enjoy what we do here and that we have good discussions and we're rational about it. I mean, I don't follow a lot of people on Twitter, but I still see what goes on with Twitter arguments and feeds and everything. And man, sometimes the information that's out there within the community is a mess. It really is. And it's just a lot of infighting and a lot of isms and pointing of fingers and all of that. And it's madness. And it's nice to have that we could have a community where we could talk rationally about the hobby from the business standpoint and understanding everything, you know? Who knows? Who knows? We got a $2 super chat from Ari Nuts. Hope for the He-Man collab, figure reuse, etc. Well, Ari, think about this, right? And remember, like, they brought it even to my booth at San Diego. We had our grand debut of the Agent Knight, Michael Knight, Knight Rider collab at San Diego Comic-Con. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that. If they did the He-Man reveal. I mean, Mattel, let's just say I have to go to their booth and talk to them because it seems like the Street Sharks line is dead. So I need to go talk to them and find out what the hell's going on because they showed off a whole bunch of new Street Sharks at last San Diego. And now this San Diego is coming up and 2 waves have still yet to be released. So, or pre-orders even. So I'm kind of concerned about that, but I'm pretty sure we'll probably get something. Keep in mind, again, we haven't been getting a lot of like live streams recently. Think about that. We haven't getting a lot of Transformer Tuesday live streams. They're building up. San Diego's coming, July. TFCon Toronto, we'll have a few little reveals there. San Diego Comic-Con, a lot of big reveals there. So big stuff coming. Big stuff coming. David Cabal, the king. How you doing, David? Who's your favorite Rob Liefeld extreme character? Ooh, that's a tough one. I've never been a big Deadpool guy. Never been a big Deadpool guy. Cable's fine. Domino's pretty cool. I like her, even though she has kind of a confusing, like, oh, is this her first appearance? No, that was a fake. This is her first appearance. Spoiler on a near 40-year-old comic book. Um, I'd have to go with like Cable. I mean, Rob's done a lot of really good stuff afterwards. I mean, probably his weakest stuff, and it's no shade thrown at Rob, but I never was a big fan of his Youngblood stuff and Image. I've always felt that was kind of, I don't know. I felt like all the other creators made much more mainstay. Like, we still have Savage Dragon today. We still have Spawn today. Even Wildcats survives in some shape or form from Jim Lee within the DC universe and Wildstorm and everything. Youngblood just kind of fizzled away, and that was the Rob creation, which is a shame because again, he was a talented individual. I know people always make fun of Rob Liefeld's art style, but I always use Rob Liefeld as the living example of you could be successful in the comic book industry if you try, you know? And, he's a pretty awesome dude in all honesty. Like he's pretty cool. I've met him twice at two different conventions and always took the time to talk, which, some guys could be dicks, but the fact that he took time to talk, that's pretty cool of him. I didn't even get autographs, which is kind of wild. I didn't even get autographs. Just went to talk to him because the cool thing with San Diego is you have like the Tuesday and Wednesday preview night where people could just kind of move around before they open it up to the public. And it was really easy to kind of go up to some of those guys. And it's a shame I didn't go talk to Todd McFarlane also, or the Black Power Ranger. Good old Zach. He was just kind of sitting there, bored out of his mind. I should have went and said hi. Oh well. Next time. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a busy San Diego to say the least. Ultra Force almost got a cartoon. Almost got like that pilot. But yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. But let's go into some sponsorship stuff. We'll cover the sponsors and then we'll continue with taking some super chats and just enjoying the rest of the evening. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything this weekend. Um, I just been really like so this is like a Canadian holiday. This weekend's Victoria Day. Don't ask. She shouldn't even be in our money, in all honesty. But it's Canadian holiday, so we're kind of using this long weekend to just kind of just enjoy the weekend and stuff like that. So haven't done a lot of shopping. Not many things have come in the mail. Supposedly Canadians are getting their HasLab Omega Prime shipped out. I haven't seen anything. I'm getting a sample version, so that's probably going to get shipped out at the same time as everyone else. So maybe Monday I'll get my HasLab Omega Prime. I don't know what's happening with that. But then Canada Post is also having drama right now, so who knows what's happening with that? Who knows what's happening with that? But yeah. So let's jump into it. First, we'll do Symbiote Studios and all their stuff, plush pins and T-shirts, all their beauties. Let me go all the way down here, and their new Soundwave that's coming out. Check that one out. The Soundwave Superior, looking really good. So that, along with a bunch of other products that I'll show you guys, are all going to be debuting later this month. Actually, let me look at the calendar for a second. Ooh, my birthday's coming up. I think it's going to happen around the time of my birthday. But yeah, so these guys are all going to be debuting later this month. So if you are interested, a lot of the product that's available on the store right now will be restocked, including the new Starscream shirts and everything. All of those will be popping off on the store, symbiotestudios.com. So there's that one. And then, of course, you got the pillows. Those are also going to be available in late May. So you could dress up your couches and give them the proper pillows they deserve. Not the pillows they need, the pillows they deserve. And then, of course, just everything else. You're going to get restock of the Transformer Slag podcast plush. You're going to get that. You're going to have the Grimlock. And hopefully, the plan is, I think next week we're going to be doing some more reveals for San Diego Comic-Con and beyond. Some stuff will be coming in the mail from licensors and Symbiote Studios, and hopefully, if everything works out, again, Canada Post is being kind of funky. Uh, we'll see. We'll get some new reveals and stuff. I know that in June we'll have some TFCon reveals we'll have for you guys with the exclusives and products with that, the stuff that the Patreons will be able to get to if you're part of the Transformer Slag Podcast Patreon. So stay tuned for all of that. We'll have all new stuff. But again, check out symbiotestudios.com and all their delicious plus and all plush and all the other stuff that's going to be coming. Again, if you are in the San Diego Comic-Con area come July, a whole bunch of new stuff will also be there revealed and available for purchase in terms of exclusives and everything. It all sold out last year very quickly. I was even surprised. I don't want to throw shade, but I was surprised just how quickly everything sold out on the Saturday. So make it happen, Cap'n. Make it happen. And then, of course, all their other stuff, check those out too. And their My Little Pony collection. There's going to be new My Little Pony stuff also, so check that out. And Aaron Archer, again, we're going to try to work out doing another segment. We're going to try to get something in before TFCon rolls around. We've just both been extremely busy. Aaron's been busy at the toy store and stuff. And so getting him home, and he's been traveling back and forth between Rhode Island and good old Ohio. So getting him in front of the computer to record our next segment. But we do have a new segment planned. It's going to be really awesome. People have been requesting it like crazy. So we are going to pull the trigger on it. And it's a perfectly topical segment in terms of timing, too. I'm not going to say what, but it's very, very cool. So stay tuned for that. And I guess also, who mentioned it? I saw someone in the chat. I'll give them a shout out because Aaron, here we go. Autovolt. Yeah, Aaron was announced. He will be at TFCon Toronto. I think it's like the world's least kept secret, but he will be at TFCon Toronto. Me and him will have a booth there. So if you're going to be at TFCon Toronto in early July, come on by, pick up his latest art book and some beautiful stuff. If you can't be at TFCon Toronto, there's a whole bunch of new Posca paintings and Posca comics and everything. Some of these have been sold. I should have updated this slide. I checked that a few of these have been sold since then. So get them while you can because these are all one of a kind. There is no like, oh, he'll have a second one. But there is a whole bunch of Posca mini comics with exclusive painted covers, one of a kind, painted by him by hand, as well as the other stuff too, like the Posca instructions and everything. But if not, TFCon will be your go-to for that. And let's just say we're in talks to bring Aaron Archer maybe one day to even Montreal for our big anime conventions. But stay tuned for that. That'll be probably be 2026. We're already in talks for that for next year. So stay tuned for that. And of course, can't forget Bin Studios. If you have a HasLab Unicron, pick up the wing kit or the ring kit at binstudios.iwarp.com and take your one HasLab Unicron that you spent exuberant amounts of money into. And now you could have two on display. You could have that beautiful planet mode and the robot mode, and no one would be the wiser. Check that ring kit. How would you even know? How would they know? How would they know? Unless you tell them, that's how they'd know. They wouldn't know that you spent thousands of dollars on owning two Unicrons. So check that out again, binstudios.iwarp.com. Pick those up, yo, and get yourself an upgrade kit. And last but not least, Mega Man X Timelines. Hot off the printers, going to be shipping out soon to the local comic book shops. June 18th, 2025, New Comic Book Wednesday. It will be debuting. This will be my comic book debut on the Mega Man brand. It is a dream come true, considering my namesake, that it's been my name for, gosh, how long have I been on the internet? Oh my goodness. 25 years? Has it been 25 years? Yeah, it's been almost 25 years. Oh my goodness, almost 26 years. So yeah, very cool stuff. Check that out. Again, if you haven't already, go to your local comic book shop, tell them to reserve you a copy. That way, if they did only get a couple copies, they'll put it aside for you because when they're gone, you're going to have to, the only way you're going to be able to pick up these books afterwards is in either back issues or from Udon's website themselves. And I mean, hey, that is one way to get them, but you will have to pay shipping. Where if you go to your local comic book shop, you're supporting your local comic book shop and you won't have to pay shipping. And it'll be cheaper too, usually with the MSRP. So it is what it is. These are the 5 covers that are available right now. There probably will be more covers And I could say at least this much. Pre-orders have ended as of a week and a half ago, and the pre-orders were absolutely outstanding. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to get the final numbers in the future, but pre-orders were absolutely insane for this. You guys really turned out for it. And let's just say there is going to be more to come because of how well this book sold. So thank you again, guys, and for all the love and support. And hopefully, I'll have a couple extra issues to bring to TFCon and future shows if you guys are interested. No promises there, but I'll see what I could do. I'll see what I could do. Cringe McCringle, what is the best way about getting variant covers? Definitely making your autograph on every copy. So if you're looking at the screen, covers A, B, C, which is the first three from the left to the right. Covers A, B, C, which are two covers done by Edwin and one cover done by Hanzo, which is the one in the middle. Those will be available in retail. If the comic book store would buy multiple covers, and these are available for the comic book store to order. Now, the one on the top right, the Proto Man cover, as I like to call it, that one is a 1 of 10. And what a 1 of 10 is means if the store ordered 10 copies of the book, they get this one as a bonus thank you. So a lot of times comic book stores, in order to be encouraged to order more copies of a comic from retailers, and Marvel does this, DC does it, every comic book company does this. So it's like, oh, you bought 10 copies of this comic as a thank you. Here's an extra, and it's an exclusive cover, that extra. So, and you only get one of them. So a lot of times with completists, they'll buy like 10 copies of a cover just to get that one cover through their distributor or something. It's kind of wild. So that one, that's a little tougher. I mean, even me as a Transformer comic book collector, some of those 1 in 10s or 1 in 25s are tough to track down. Usually they're sold on eBay for upsold. They're supposed to be sold at MSRP, cover price, but that's not the case. So that one might be a little more difficult. The virgin cover, the blank cover, the store should also have available, but blank covers, because they're made out of cardboard on the cover, because they're meant to be drawn on, so they're a little more harder, those covers. They are $2 more expensive. Those should also be available at your store if you ask for them. So pretty much cover ABC and the blank cover would be available at your store to pick up. One will just be a little more expensive, and one will be maybe a little more expensive only because of difficulty to get. And also, there is plans for a web exclusive, which is a very special cover, and stay tuned for that. And again, because this is sold very well, who knows? There might be a second printing. We don't know yet. And second printings, if we do second printings, they'll have new covers. Just look at Void Rivals. Void Rivals, I think it was like Void Rivals issue number 1 has like 30 different covers. And I don't expect to have 30 different covers. That would be crazy. But just to give you a bit of an idea. Why like, are you interested in that 3-0 Mega Man X figure is coming out next month? They are sending it to me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm getting that because it's being sent to me. The beauty of working on that brand is a lot of the licensors are very friendly to send stuff. Let's put it that way. It looks really cool. Supposedly, I'm getting one that comes with like an extra accessory that's exclusive only to stores or something. So, but very, very cool. But again, thanks for all the love and support. And there is going to be more in the future. And I understand there's some people here who aren't Mega Man fans, but it is something I just wanted to put out there because these are my sponsors and I have to sponsor myself too through writing and stuff like that. So always want to put out what I'm working on at the same time. So check that out, yo. That's it more or less for the sponsorship. So again, didn't get anything. Only thing that I got, um, did some thrifting and found a complete run of the first 4 books of Bionicle. I already have these, but I figured I'd pick them up again because they were $1 each, so $4 to get all 4 again of good old Tahu and the crew. And Tahu was always chilling in the back there for people that don't realize. So this is something I'm probably just gonna sell it as a lot in the future or whatever. But that's all I really got. Unfortunately, it's pretty mild. She got some Lego stuff. She's been spending more money than me on toys the past couple of weeks. So it is what it is. I did get some of these, but I got some patches. Let's just say I'm working on a project in the near future. So you could probably figure that one out if you know me. That'll probably make its debut. Maybe at TFCon Toronto, it'll make its debut. We'll see how that works out. Ashnud, have Archer draw a Mega Man on the blank. Well, my plan for me, because even me, I'm going to get a blank too. What I want to do is I want to get Edwin to draw on it when I see him at San Diego. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, you could get. I'm going to try to get some. I'm going to try to get. Again, I don't want to make the promise because I don't know how the shipping's going to be between the 18th and the first, TFCon rolling like only a couple weeks after that. But if I could get a couple of copies of each one of these and bring them to the show to sell at the table, yeah, buy the issue, get Aaron to draw something, pay Aaron for it because Aaron's such a good artist. Pick up something from Aaron. Don't just ask for free art. But you know, like yeah, that's one way to do it. And I could draw a little Proto Man. I mean, I could still draw a Proto Man. It's the only thing I can draw. I could draw a perfect Proto Man. It's like it's burned into my brain. Every time I do an autograph, I always draw a Proto Man next to it, just kind of like solidify it. Uh Mikey and Willie, Proto Man proves always chase your dream. It's not even chase your dream. Just try. That's what I always say. Like, the worst that could happen in life is failing. And I will tell you this right now, failure is not a bad thing. Failure is you learning. You learn from your failures. It sounds cliche, I know, but you got to try. You got to take your shot. You got to put it out there. Going back to Rob Layfield that we just talked about a few seconds ago, he put his shot out there. It was actually his friend who suggested it, but he put his shot out there. He made his effort. He got his gigs. He got his opportunities. And the rest is history. And next thing you know, you have like multi-million dollar Marvel movies based off of characters you created. You have to take your shot. You got to try. And it's something where my opportunities that I got in my life to write for both Transformers and now Mega Man and other stuff too, that came from trying. And yes, it help that I had really good friends around me that also helped with that because I wanted to try and those friends were there to help with that. But, it's something where, you know, is there a super chat I missed? I hope I didn't miss a super chat. Did I miss any super chats? Just want to make sure. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. So, but it's like you got it. You got to, you got to put it out there, man. You got to try because too many people. I remember, gosh, when was this? And shout out to her if she's watching. There was a little girl. No joke. She was probably like 12 years old, maybe 13. And she was with her dad and she came by our booth and she asked me because at that time, I want to say this was TFCon 2017, 16. I had just come off of like doing all that Combiner War stuff, like writing all those bios and everything. I'd done some TFCon comic books and everything, wrote some bios with that, did some BotCon toy development. And she asked me, she's like, how did you get those opportunities? And I'm like, well, I put my stuff out there. When you write, if you just keep it to yourself, no one's going to see it. You know, if you're an amazing artist, and you just keep that art on your kitchen table, no one's going to see it. You got to put it out there so that people could see it. Alex Milne, who did all those IDW books that you guys loved, ask him how he got his gig. He put his art out there on DeviantArt. And then at the time, Pat Lee at 3 a.m. in the morning was looking for artists of Transformers that kind of matched his vibe and flavor and style. And then he's like, oh, this guy's really good. Oh, this guy's only 2 hours away from where I live. Changed the rest of his life. Now, what if Alex Milne didn't put that art on DeviantArt? What if Alex just drew that art and just kept it to himself? We wouldn't be having this conversation. You know what I mean? So you got to put it out there. You got to put it out there, You really do. Because if you don't, it's crazy. Oh, ZM. There you go. Okay. What's your super chat? I was going to ask for a shout out, ZM, for my football soccer. Well, we'll call it football for you. My football team, Sporting Portugal, that's back to back champions. Well, then shout out to ZM and his football because we only call it soccer. And I think they call it soccer in Canada, USA, Japan calls it soccer. It's funny they call it soccer and they call football like as in like American football, they call it Ameri football in Japan. If you watch Eye Shield 21, the football anime. Um, are you a fan of Captain Tsubasa by any chance? But yeah, very cool. Sorry about that. I didn't see it before. Everything kind of gets lost in the. That's why I always tell people to super chat or YouTube member. It's usually the easiest way to get noticed. It's just how it is, my friend. But yeah, again, it's just been a quiet week. Otherwise, just kind of been doing this and that, and I mean, didn't even really like plan food. Like we're no joke. We're probably like thinking of just going for sushi or something because we don't even want to think about cooking anything today because we've just been so busy. Like we've been wanting to mow the lawn, and the weather has been on and off, and rain and everything. So and just been super busy. That's why yesterday, we had a very late segment uploaded because I just was super busy with stuff. And amazingly, people are still deciding just to put on their winter tires right now. But yeah, didn't get much. Didn't get much, unfortunately. Like just it's been a quiet week for picking up stuff. You know, some you can't get new stuff. You can't get new stuff every week. Oh, you started watching Captain Tsubasa in 1994. Very good, sir. Very good, sir. Keep you busy with that. But yeah, so not much else. Not much else to talk about, unfortunately. Just little things here and there happening in the Transformer world. Uh, Probably next week is going to be a quiet week for news. I can't imagine what's going to be revealed. There might be some pre-orders that'll come up, but I'm worried that next week might be a little quiet. So we might do some more free-form segments and maybe even another live stream. Who knows? Just to kind of fill in the gap if we have nothing to talk about. Because again, daily content is very important to give you guys here on the podcast. So I always want to kind of put something out there for you guys to enjoy because it is what it is. And you know, all the conversations that have been happening over the past couple of days, especially in terms of you know, what's happening with the Omega Prime and all the HasLab drama and stuff like that. It's been a lot of negative vibes, you know. So I always try to kind of avoid the negative vibes. I mean, if it's something that has to be addressed, I will address it. Like if it's a really universal issue, which we did address it here on the podcast, but like I mean, all the tariff talk has been ugh, you guys, I swear some of the arguments I've been seeing with all the tariff stuff, it's the end of the world. Oh wait, no it isn't. Yes, it is the end of the world. Oh wait, it's not. Just wait it out. Just wait it out for now, you know. Just wait it out. Yeah, guys, like going back to the writing thing, you know, like put your stuff out there. Put your stuff out there. And that girl that I talked to and her dad, I said like, you know, take your writings. There is millions of like websites that you could post your writings on. There is millions of websites that you could post your art on. And then if you're really confident in your stuff, open up your own .com. I mean, opening up your own .com. I mean, I'm not sponsored by GoDaddy, but like, you know, GoDaddy is like a like cheap 101 easy.com that you could open and like open up a .com, you know, yourname.com and then put your art on there and put your ideas on there and share it with the world. And then your .com kind of acts as like a mobile business card, as I like to call it, where you could kind of like go, oh, you like what I do? Well, check out, you know, blah, blah, blah.com and check out my stuff. And it's a way to put your stuff out there and you never know. You never know. You go to a convention, you get an opportunity to talk to an editor, and then that editor says, hey, we're looking for so and so to draw on this book or to write on this book. Have you done anything? If you don't have any of that stuff out there available to read in the moment, how are you able to prove that you're any good? You know? Oh yeah, I have some stuff. Well, where is it? You know, like you can't just say you're a good writer. and they take your word for it. You need to have something to kind of show. And if you don't have anything to like show, so you got to put it out there. You got to put it out there. And all my opportunities came from putting it out there and then showing what I'm capable of doing and then having good word of mouth from those individuals that I worked with. Because if you're a writer, you probably have friends that are artists that could vouch for you. And if you're an artist, you have friends who are writers who could vouch for you. Or if you have previous employers that you didn't burn those bridges, they could vouch for you and go, hey, yeah, he's really good. You know, I got a lot of, I got a lot of good, you know, like recommendations, let's put it that way, from people at Hasbro and previous companies just from working with them. I worked on a video game company called Anne, working on a video game locally here because Quebec has a huge indie video game scene, did writing with them for years. So good stuff. T-Formers 2002 with the YouTube member question. TF prices seem to go up and down every 3 to 4 years regardless. Well, I feel you end up in a situation where you have a new CEO now. He needs to prove to the investors that he's not a failure. And one easy way to improve profits from their perspective, I'm not saying it'll work, but from their perspective, is to increase prices, even if it's subtle. Oh, move it up $2 per price point. And if everyone was still buying to begin with, continue buying. I mean, if you sell a million more, if you sell that same million Transformers, but now it's $2 more per figure, that's $2 million more in the profit margin. And it sounds small, but it's big in the grand scheme of things. So, and, again, I've publicly said I'm not a big fan of Mr. Cox's overall plans for Hasbro. Um, I'm a big fan of the people who work for the Transformer brand, the designers, the marketers. Shout out to Nate and Evan and Mark. And, those guys are great. You know, they're fun, loving, great individuals. And I always say, don't take it out on them. Those guys are doing their job. They don't decide price points. They don't decide, weird market conditions or, hey, we're going to cheap out here or there. Those are decisions from above to keep the money big, you know? So something where I'm not a fan, let's put it that way. Cridge McCringle, do you think Chris Cox will still be CEO in a few years? I honestly, here's the thing. I think what keeps him CEO is separate from the toy stuff. The success of Magic the Gathering is what keeps him CEO. And there's a Final Fantasy set that's coming out soon that I will say it with a straight face is going to break every record. It is going to break every substantial record possible for Magic the Gathering. And from a investor and board member standpoint of Hasbro, they're going to see that as, hey, good job, Chris. So in 5 years, we put a year behind us of now it's not the Final Fantasy set and there's no big hook. Who knows? Things could change. But in the next 12 months, he's going to have something he could go, hey, this was really successful because that Final Fantasy set's going to crush it. It's going to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I can already see it. You know, I'm not a big Final Fantasy VII guy, but I'm a big Final Fantasy VI guy and a Final Fantasy IX guy and a Final Fantasy I guy. And there's some cards even I want from that. Locke is there, Vivi's there. They're going to get my money somehow. Where I sometimes skip certain Magic sets because it's not for me. You know, the cardboard crack. You know, so they're going to make a lot of money, and that lot of money is going to translate into profits. And it's a lot like, again, this right here is $30 and costs a lot more to manufacture than a booster pack. Let's get a sealed booster pack of of Yu-Gi-Oh here because I have a sealed one here. Don't ask why. A sealed booster pack of Yu-Gi-Oh. I think this is Speed Duels. I ended up with a whole bunch of these when one of my Toys R Us's closed down. And a Speed Duel booster pack could be almost as much as this boy, you know. But this is plastic. This is cardboard. This is everything. That's just cardboard. So the margins of profit, cardboard makes so much more. So imagine you're going to have record breaking sales through Hasbro, through the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy card set, and it's all cardboard. That's it. No plastics. Oh, yeah, maybe they'll have the little dies and stuff, but otherwise, in general, pure profit. And then they're probably going to do secret layers, and that's going to be pure profit. They're going to crush it so much. And again, he'll be able to then go, hey, board members, hey, investors, n'est-ce pas? So he's safe for now. Let's put it that way. That's my boardroom logic conclusion with that. Transformers looking funky isn't going to turn the tide just yet. Other stuff have to fail also. Mikey and Louie, we don't even play Magic, but that Final Fantasy set raised our eyebrows just like Transformers Magic. Yeah. A lot of people who are not Magic the Gathering players. I know a lot of friends of mine who do not touch Magic at all, who are going to buy those cards just because they're huge Final Fantasy VII fans. Like huge. They love their Sephiroth, they love their Cloud and Tifa and Aerith and Yuffie and everything. So they are just going all in on that. As far as they're concerned, it's just cool trading cards. And look at those prices. Like a Commander special editions, 60 cards, Commander special edition Sephiroth is $170 after exchange. $170 for 60 pieces of cardboard. $170 for 60 pieces of cardboard. We were just talking about masterpieces, high-end Admus, $199. Think about the margins of profit on that. So that's where Chris Cox is going to be safe. As long as that's still turning a profit, he's going to be safe. And keep in mind, Chris came from the Magic the Gathering world. That's how he got the gig to begin with after Brian Goldner passed away. So it's going to be a crazy one. Boo Cat, dang, didn't realize, haven't bought anything since Guilds of Ravnica. Guilds of Ravnica was cool. Which guild did you buy? Out of curiosity. Paper Crack is the best. Well, it's definitely Paper Crack is, or Cardboard Crack, as they call it, is probably the most. It's probably the most expensive for what you're getting. Again, T-Form is $3 a card. Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like if you took I don't have any like open trading cards near me, but if you took two trading cards, you put them next to each other. Let me get. Hold on a sec. Do I have any open? Yu-Gi-Oh stuff? No, I don't. It's because I was sorting Yu-Gi-Oh stuff off camera. Unfortunately, let me grab some Pokemon stuff. One moment. So if you you take two Pokemon cards, right? So if these were $6, but is that equal to this? This costs nothing to manufacture. Nothing. Two pieces of cardboard cost nothing, and they could charge $6. This $6, granted the figure's not there, but this $6 figure with the plastic and everything and the little, security things, which are also made out of plastic for the figure, this has way higher margins. So which makes them more profit when you think about it? Now, granted, just picture these are Magic cards instead. They're obviously going to lean on this more. And again, takes less space, easier to ship, doesn't take that much space in stores. It's a whole other animal. It's a whole other animal. Like, look at all the craziness that's happening with the Pokemon card world. I am not part of any of that. Like, I like vintage Pokemon. That's about it. That's really all I collect. And the odd Gengar card here and there, And if they do more cards of my girl Flannery, but they rarely do. So, but the point is that, Like it's a hobby that it doesn't take a lot of space because it's small little thin cards. The turnaround of profit is way easier. Like imagine something like this that takes this much space in your life could give you $3, while on something like this that takes way more space in your life, you'll be lucky if you get $3 for it, you know? So it's kind of a reflection, unfortunately, to have when it comes to space versus hobby and the amount of money. Now that could all go sour, and all of a sudden people don't care about Pokemon cards, and then you're now stuck with all these cards that take a lot of space and weigh a lot. But it's always a bigger discussion. Mikey and Louie, speaking of paper crack, where's our new Transformers deck building set? I think they're almost done. I will say that much. Um, as someone who works behind the scenes with that, there is no plans or developments in the near future. The Renegade Studios just recently did their Renegade Con, and there was no new Transformer product. So that might be done for the time being, including the Power Rangers one and the G.I. Joe one. So stay tuned for that if there will be, but you'll hear it here first, but nothing for the time being. Mikey and Louie, the Digimon Digital Monsters, they are champion. Well, yeah, the Digimon cards too. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of great TCGs. There's a lot of old retired TCGs that are still fun too. The old Transformer TCG is still great. Still has support, mind you. It's all fan created, but it's still great stuff. I love it all. I'm just looking at some of it off camera right now. I love that stuff, man. But it's expensive. Never got that Beast Wars deck building game, unfortunately. Yeah, trust me, that was stuff that was planned, but it's a matter of did stuff sell well. And the problem with the Transformers deck building game was it wasn't a TCG. It was a board game that was a trading card game element, you know? And the thing is that in the card world, unfortunately, they always want to have a financial speculative side of it. Like if you buy the deck building game, everyone gets the same cards. There's no surprises, there's no rares, there's no variants, there's no nothing. Everyone gets the same cards when you buy a deck building game starter kit. And there's nothing outside of that. You get the expansions, everyone gets the same cards. There's no blind packs, there's no loot boxes, there's no none of that. So when you don't have that element, there's no speculation. There's no way for like the outsiders to go, "Oh, this might be worth money," because that's what everyone's looking for. Everyone's going like, "Hey, is this Pikachu card going to be worth money because I pulled it from a pack or something?" Hey, Butters, what's up? Come. Let's see if Butters will come. You want to come here? Ah. Um, but yeah, it's something where that was the problem with the deck building game because it didn't have that. The Transformer TCG, I firmly believe it would still exist today if it wasn't for the Big V. The Big V just scared organized play. When you have organized play become a big element of trading card games being successful, you know, it's a tough one. I would love it if they brought back the TCG because I was helping a little bit with that before it all got discontinued. Again, shout out to Jason, who was the marketer with that. Like, man, they were great with me. They were great, but it just it just wasn't in the destiny, unfortunately. Big V happened and it was like, bye-bye. Everything was gone, you know? Everything was gone. Mikey and Louie, geez, that's why we loved it. Equality is bad, greed is good. The world. Well, again, it's you have to create. You have to. The reality is you have to create an element of buzz. If there's no surprises, if people like no one gets a surprise when you open up a Monopoly box. It's a board game. Everyone gets the same pieces. But what if everyone got different pieces? Then it creates that fun conversation. Unboxing is a big thing on the internet now. Seeing what you'll get, the surprise of it, opening packs and everything. So you have to have that element where it creates buzz, it creates interest. If one person unboxes a Monopoly game, it's the same experience for 100 other people. But if you have a mystery loot box element to it, then it could be fun. Look what happened with Minecraft and McDonald's, where they had those Minecraft McDonald's toys and they were all blind packed. And then everyone was opening them up and there was the big surprise blind packed element. McDonald's for years was not a blind packed kind of company. And now they're looking into doing more blind pack adult element products because it's more exciting for them and it's more exciting content. And people will buy more of it. If you could buy all 6 items, you buy all 6 items straight up. If it's blind packed, you might buy 12 just to hedge your bets, just in case, and you'll end up with a few doubles and you'll be missing one and da da da. And then there you got the rare chase card or whatever. It's more money for everybody. It's more exciting. It's not the best in the long run for your wallet or anything, but from a business standpoint, it makes sense. Joseph Ryder with the YouTube member question just got Omega Prime HasLab. Hope he's not broken. Well, Joe, I didn't get mine yet, but when I do, I'm definitely gonna take them apart to see if there's. I'm gonna try to see if there is a way that we could take apart that figure and not have to damage it in order to be functional. I don't like that people are sanding it down. I'm not that kind of guy. I feel there's a way that things could be fixed. So I'm gonna look into it for sure. And to say what Big Bot said, don't manifest it. Don't manifest the bad vibes. But thank you for the YouTube member question. Mikey and Louie, they always, there's always Transformers that has to be more to meet the eye. Well, of course. What T-Formers 2002 said, yeah, the Kevin Frost, was it called? The McNugget buddies, you know? And they had a gold chase there. And look, it created conversation. People were picking those up. She got a few of them, you know? She got a few of them because she was trying to get the one that was the one that was like a metro car on the outside. I forget what his name was, but again, it creates interest, and then people buy them, and so it's that unboxing element is always exciting. When you take away that, you know, yeah, some people want to just get that one thing. I'm like that, but I can't deny the business element of it and how people, for lack of better words, they like gambling. It's a form of gambling. They like that, oh, I might get what I want, but I might not get what I want, you know? But at least in the case of, with gambling, you might lose it all. In this case, even if you don't get what you want, it's still something that could be a tradable element or a sellable element. I didn't get that figure I wanted, but oh, maybe someone else will want it. Or maybe I could trade for the one that I want. That's what Blockies is. And that's why I don't have a problem with Blockies really being a blind pack thing, because I got to see firsthand with my own 2 eyes at conventions. People crack open one. Oh, I got Prowl. Another person crack opens one. Oh, I got Jazz. Oh, do you want to trade? Yeah, sure, no problem. And it's like, then everyone's happy. So, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Ashnud, I sanded down my Omega. Oh, no, I don't want to miss any of the questions. Fawnheart, the speculation aspect is why I have stopped buying Magic. Well, again, that's where you have a whole bunch of outside individuals that only are part of it because of the speculation. That's what's happening with Pokemon right now. The sad thing with Pokemon is, I would have to say, and these are like probably not too far off. I'd have to say 90% of people who collect Pokemon don't play the game. Of that 90% that don't play the game, I'd have to say that 60% of them don't even like Pokemon. Like, they just buy it to sell. And that's crazy when you think about it. That a huge chunk of your audience, more than like 50%, don't even buy it because they even know what a Chizard is or a Pokemans. We joke about that. Oh, you're going to get this new Pokemon set? It has all the Chizards, meaning Pokemon, Charizards. What? The Gingars? You like the Gingars? The Jingars? What's that guy's name? He has the same name from the guy from Army of Darkness, Ash. So you have a lot of people that buy Pokemon just to speculate. They see it as an asset. They're not smart enough to put money into bank investments, but yet somehow they feel that something that is a social hype fad is a safer thing. I'll say this right now. If you bought gold in 1962 and you sat on it, it's worth more today. But if you bought XYZ fad item in 1962, I hate to break it to you, some of it might have been worth money, some of it might have just been dead. You know, it's a complete roll of the dice. Yeah, if you bought a 1962 GI Joe boxed and you kept it. Yeah, but there's a lot of trading cards that came out in the 60s that aren't worth the cardboard they're printed on. So, it's something where you have to really, you know, I don't want people to be putting all their eggs in one basket with that. That's a very short-term profit, you know? It really is. Especially with, and you don't think the Pokemon company is going to be like, "Oh, wow, people are buying all this stuff. We're just going to print more and print more and print more and print more." And then you're going to be one of those guys with like 12 boxes of like, elite trainer boxes or whatever, and you're stuck with it. It doesn't affect me. All my real talk and hot takes are just me honestly how I feel about it. When I see like one or two cards I like, I just outright buy those one or two cards. I don't really buy booster boxes or play the Pokemon game. I just collect the characters I like and that's it. And that's a very short list. Again, I only collect vintage and most of that I'm done. I have almost everything, you know. I have my Charizards. I have all of that stuff. I bought it many years ago. Fawn Heart, the game itself it was secondary for how much the cards are worth. Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing is like, and again, the only reason why I have these ones, if you actually look carefully, these are actually Japanese. Because when you get my exclusives, I would include Pokemon cards with them. So I got a whole bunch of Japanese Pokemon cards because they're a million times cheaper than English Pokemon cards. But who cares? I mean, you're not buying it for the value or to play with them. So you're just buying it for the pretty art, and the Japanese art is the same as the American art. In fact, sometimes it's actually better or uncensored, the Japanese art. So you're actually getting the better thing. So, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else here. Ashton, I'm going through my dad's stuff, found a bunch of sealed 90s Batman worth nothing. Well, you know what? If you have sealed 90s Batman stuff from Kenner, it might not be worth nothing, but it's still pretty cool because probably Aaron Archer worked on some of it. Yeah. Most stuff made in the 90s, unfortunately, you know, 80% of it, unfortunately, is with inflation is worth the value it was back then. So if you bought a carded Kenner Batman figure for $8.99 from Toys R Us back in 1992, and now it sells today for $30, you just got back your money with inflation. That's about it. So that wasn't a good investment, you know, where at the same time, if you bought, again in 1992, you invested in any simple blue chip stock, it always does well because stocks always go up with inflation. It's the anti inflation, as long as you get a blue chip stock. Don't go crazy with some risks. Protoman is not going to suggest that. What do we got here? Y. Hey, Proto, what's your golden age of TF toys, in my opinion, or for Cybertron? To now has been pretty amazing overall. I have a soft spot for '07 movie era. Well, it depends how you define golden age. If what you mean is everything that they put out was amazing, um, I would have to then probably look more back. Because, and I'm just going to kind of turn my head right now because it's like, it's something where, like you could say like, oh man, like, yeah, the Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom stuff was amazing. But are we going to ignore the elephant in the room of really mediocre to bad Cyberverse stuff? Or really mediocre to bad Robots in Disguise 2015 stuff, or early red clearance tag, no one cares Earthspark stuff, you know, because that counts as part of that too, you know. I would probably look at more at like, and it's not even my bias towards Aaron, it's just tell me what the bad was, right? Let's take 2003. right? And the reason why I'll tell you why I isolate 2003. So you have Armada, which when you bought Armada products, you got no matter what you got the best that the figure could be. There wasn't like alternatives that were lower quality with Armada. You got a trading card, you got a comic book, all in that one package. And then if you looked at what else was on the shelf at the time, whether it be alternator stuff or the soon coming masterpiece or the Universe 2001 series, or even on the other side of the globe with Robot Masters, everything that Hasbro was doing with Transformers was good product. It was, you had to look hard to find mediocre product. I mean, even the Go 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 Bots line, I don't even think that existed yet. I think that was 2004, maybe. So, that was a really good time. Where, look, I love the movie stuff. Like, let's look at 2007 with the Michael Bay movie stuff. Wow, what a bunch of great movie stuff. But are we lumping in, you know, Cyber Stompers, Robo Battlers? Uh, what are the other ones? Fast Action Battlers, uh, Gravity Bots. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Bumpin' Battlers. I could go on and on. Like all of those ones that I guarantee almost nobody bought. Robo Replicas, the Unleashed line that died quickly. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So you could say like again, look, T-Formers. T-Formers says 2007, 2011 is fantastic. There's a lot of great stuff, but then there's a lot of stuff that I guarantee you weren't buying. In 2010, were you buying any Rescue Bot stuff? Probably not. Because that's when 2010, there was great masterpieces, but were you buying Fast Action Battlers of Blackout? No, you probably weren't wasting your money on that. So I'd have to go with like 2000, 2002, 2003, up until about maybe 2005, 2006, before all of a sudden there's so much product and not all of it is great, you know? Because look, Animated comes out in 2008. Oh my God, Animated's amazing. But then you also got, Titaniums, which was like, ah, some of that stuff was really bad, like really, really bad, So it's like, which was at the same time as Animated on the shelves. And then you had like the odd alternator, and then you had a slew of movie stuff that you would have never bought. You're not going to buy who owns this? Gravity Bots. No one has this kind of stuff. You know, no one picked that stuff up, but there was tons of that stuff. Tons of that. So I think that when you're talking a golden age, it's when all the product was the best that it could be. When you got that Starscream Armada figure, that was the best Starscream Armada it could be. And there was no other Armada Starscream that was a lesser product. Yeah, there might have been in Japan some PVC figures and stuff like that, but those served to be their purposes through their licensors with SCF making PVCs or model kits or whatever. But in terms of being the best that they could be, and not to mention the start of Masterpiece during that time. So well, see, here's the thing, cringe. I can't combat nostalgia. Look, I love toy lines that I know are hated universally, but I love them because of nostalgia. So I always try to separate the nostalgia from it. Because look, I could easily say something like G1 or Beast Wars, but you know, at the same time, are we going to have the discussion, golden age of Transformers during G1 when it's pretty obvious how successful that line was? And the same thing with Beast Wars. Beast Wars was ridiculously successful. I think more Transformer toys were sold during Beast Wars or G1 than were sold during Armada. But I think Armada had a much more golden era in terms of higher quality products overall going around. Although Armada sold very well. I think Energon and Cybertron was when it started to slip in terms of sales, but you know, and I'm pretty sure more Revenge of the Fallen toys were sold more than anything, you know. But I mean, at the same time, I'm going to look at Revenge of the Fallen and go, how many, oh my God, how many RPMs, were sold of value before they killed that and then turned it into speed stars. So it's kind of a different convo when it comes to that. Titaniums have some good releases, but you can't tell me that like Titanium's Jetfire is any good. Or Titanium's, War Within Optimus is a floppy mess. Or like the only really good Titaniums, all in all honesty, were, and it's not just bias. The Rodimus is good. The Grimlock, like the Grimlock and the Prowl are good because those were the two last ones made, so they learned their lessons. Rodimus, Grimlock, Prowl, the Cheetor is amazing. The Optimus is okay, but a bit of a floppy mess. The Ultra Magnus is okay, but a bit of a floppy mess. And when I mean Ultra Magnus, I mean G1 Ultra Magnus and RID Optimus. The Soundwave's a bit of a floppy mess. They're kind of messy, some of them, you know? And I'm not counting the 3-inch figures. The 3-inch figures are what they are. They're little statues, but, you know, uh, why my thoughts on Titanium came out is they were more worth the money if it wasn't just plastic. And man, the copies that have not held up over time. Well, the problem is that Titanium's reminded us how metal is not the way to go. Sometimes metal does not make a Transformer toy better. If you've owned any of the you can barely see them, but I'll screw up the camera. Any alternators or vinyl tech, if you own vinyl techs, you'll see that, oh, sometimes it's not good to have metal in certain areas, because then you have a joint that's plastic and two metal pieces. Ooh, good luck transforming some of those complex vinyl techs without getting a little nervous. It could happen. I've seen it. So Cringeman Kringle, I'm not disagreeing with your point at all. There's a lot of junk in 2007 2012. It's just that you love it. Of course, of course. But that's why, like, it's more going like, and again, as a completist of all of that stuff, just looking over and going like, where was a year where there was no junk? And it really was like during that Armada time where it's like there was all these different sublines. And like, no one is going to tell me that alternators was crap. Like, no one could say that with a straight face. The amount of energy and time and engineering and working out with those companies, which would then lead to the success with the Michael Bay movies and working with those companies. Like, to have Armada, alternators, Universe 1.0, and then on the Japanese side of things, Robot Masters and the beginning of Masterpiece, and that's it. There's no other crap. Like Armada didn't have any like, oh man, here's like this subline of Armada toys that are crap unless you really didn't like minicons, you know? Like there wasn't like, oh, we're gonna make simpler versions of Hotshot and Starscream, and they're gonna have like a flip out gimmick and all of that, and we're gonna glut 50% of the shelving of Armada with gimmick stuff. Where it's like, oh, you want Alita? Well, we're gonna have this Alita, and then we're gonna have a one-step Alita, and then we're gonna have a cog changer Alita, and in the end, no one's gonna buy any of these because we're all just waiting for the best version. And ironically, in the end, the best version is the Japanese version of this one that's been retooled, you know? And then the irony is it's like, oh, I want Soundwave. And it's like, again, red tag, all of this stuff on clearance. I want Soundwave. And it's like, this is all I have is this throw changer Soundwave until they did the deluxe. But when did they do deluxe? 2 years after this came out. That's rough. That's rough. You can't do that. You can't do that. Build to rule. That's probably the only thing we could say exists. Build to Rule though is kind of I guess we could kind of lump it in, but that was more of like a Hasbro overall thing because that was like Build to Rule GI Joe, Build to Rule Tonka, Build to Rule Transformers, and they did a little bit for Energon too. I think there was Build to Rule. What else was there Build to Rule? Because I know they did Tonka, GI Joe, Transformers. I think they did another brand. I forget what was the other one. So I guess you could count that if you want to count that. I have almost all the Build to Rule stuff. I'm not embarrassed to say that. And they're terrible. They are terrible. I will admit that one. you know. Um, well, Cyberworld, I mean, Cyberworld, I'm not going to judge it until I see it. My only concern is the same concern that I like. You have Transformers Wild King, really great toys. The fiction is limited, only these 5-minute episodes where it's like, man, you should have done a whole show with that. And I'm worried because Wild King, I'm getting the vibe of it's going to be the American version of Cyberworld, where Cyberworld's going to have decent toys that are simple but decent toys, and we're going to have no proper fiction for it, and that's going to be rough, you know. And let that be a lesson to anyone that's like, cause I and again, I can't stress this enough. I was talking to so many people, and they're all like, "Oh, Proto Man, what are you talking about?" Like, everyone's saying how successful Earthspark was. It's not getting canceled. It's not getting canceled. Actions speak louder than words. Why are we in a world now where we're getting a made for internet web series for Transformers if Earthspark was crushing it in the toy sales and crushing it in the viewings on Paramount Plus and on television? Actions speak louder than words. So that's all I got to say to that. So many people were angry with me because look, I don't hate the Earthspark show, but people think that when I criticize it, somehow I'm attacking them because they have their own personal connections with Earthspark. But you got to separate yourself from that. Look, I love G1. I grew up with G1, but I could point out its flaws. G1 was my Transformers growing up. I grew up with G1, and then Beast Wars with G2 and Beast Wars came later. I'll point out all the flaws G1 has. I could be rational about it and logical. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. We're in a weird. I told you, like right now, we're in the late G2 era of Transformers. That's the thing I keep saying. We're in that world right now. We're in late G2 where we're not too sure where we're going. There still is stuff. There still is comics. There still is toys. There still is something of a show. That's what late G2 was. Still something of a show. It's a show. It's not a new show, but it's a something of a show. We still have comics. We still have some toys. You know, we're in late G2 right now. So hopefully we'll enter our Beast Wars era. That's what I'm hoping. And what I mean by that is revolution, you know, something new, something fantastic, something amazing. That's what I'm hoping. Creo and Built to Rule were some of the very low points for figures. Well, Creo wasn't too bad. The minifigs were fun. Some of the builds weren't terrible. I mean, some of the bigger builds were pretty good. I picked up all of those, and I liked Creo quite a bit, but I could understand if maybe people were expecting something a little more complex, or maybe they were expecting something a little more Lego. I know that the Korean company that does the Creo, it's not the best quality plastic. A lot of Creo brick people, if you put their weapons in their hands, there will be stress marks at the apex of their hands, which unfortunately is due to the fact that the plastic quality isn't that great. I own two different Creo minifigs that are broken, so I could speak of it, but I still think it was a great line overall, even though there was a few breaks. But Lego's gonna Lego, so we'll just get more Lego. We'll get a lot more Lego. I think Lego should just do minifigs of Transformers. Just do a bunch of minifigs of Transformers. It'll print money, but they're just not doing it right now. Uh, let's see, where are we at? Why lag? Why do we have any tips on how to safely move a collection? I moved for a job in July and grad and started packing. Yes, I could actually tell you that quite a bit. So it depends what you're moving. If it is fragile G1 stuff, right? Hate to break it to you, you got to move those guys like you're moving bombs, some of them, especially 84, 85, 86 guys, because you do not want those banging themselves together. So, no joke, everything made like Beast Wars and below, obviously minus a few gold plastic figures here and there, but Beast Wars and below, and keep in mind, I moved in 2009. So when I moved, we were literally just finishing up the Revenge of the Fallen era, right? Everything from like Armada, like Beast Wars, uh, Beast Machines, robots in the skies in general. Some of those are fragile, some of them are not because paint can chip, but Armada, Energon, Cybertron, Japanese stuff on the side. All of those were just put in totes, and I didn't have to worry about those guys getting damaged. I would some of the more fragile guys, I put them in Ziploc bags so they didn't rub against each other and paint transfer to each other. But those you could just kind of put them in totes and not have to worry about it. If you don't have a huge collection like me, go to the dollar store and buy a butt ton of Ziploc bags in many different sizes. Ziploc everything, put them all in there. Yeah, I think, yeah, cringe. I think it was a question many years ago. It comes up. It's okay to ask it again, though. I don't mind doing it again. But it's something where, you know, and then you just kind of throw them in there. But the G1 stuff that could be very fragile and fidgety, man, if you saw what I was doing, you would think I was crazy. I literally had like, wish I could show you an example. I had like these, like they were almost the size of shoe boxes, right? And I would cover the inside of these shoe boxes with Kleenex. And I no joke, back and forth from my family's house to my new house, I would put every day because I would finish work. I go by my family's, put 5 or 6 G1 figures into these multiple shoe boxes, put them in the back seat of my car like they were a baby, and drive them to my house and bring them because some of those Datsuns, some of those deluxe G2 Insecticons, some of those chromy, guys, they will break. They will break. They are 40, like some of these toys are going to be coming up to half a century year old at one point. Think about that. Almost 50 years, half a century. Some of these are getting really old now, you know? And when you think about the Diaclone stuff I have in my collection that is from the 70s, those are coming up to 50 years old. What do I do with like my Diaclone Dinobots or my Diaclone like Gats Blocker and some of those guys that are from like 74, 75, you know, that are at that 50-year point, you know? So it's something where I was very careful with those guys because I don't want the horror stories of people who move their collections and stuff broke during moving, you know? So treat it like a cup of water in A86 without being the front seat in the cup holder. But no, I literally like I wish I had pictures of it. Like it was like these open shoe boxes. I had all these empty shoe boxes and they were just lined with Kleenex. And it was like, all right, here's Prowl in robot mode. Here's the accessories on the side, and they'll kind of bounce around a little bit. And then here's Blue Streak in the same box with them. And then here's, Jazz, right? And then here you go. And then the next box, okay, I'm gonna put Jetfire, but I have to be careful how I put him because he's going to be bouncing around in the car and I don't want to chip any of the armor pieces. So I'm going to put them like that. And then I'm going to cover the entire thing with, I had a blanket that I always keep in the back of my car. I would keep this blanket in the back and I'd cover them all just if I'm in traffic. I don't want the sun beating down on Jetfire or any of the others. So I was so anal with that. But then every single one of these robot masters, throw it in a bin in a Ziploc, of course, so they don't bang it, they don't paint transfer with each other, but throw it in a bin. These guys are indestructible. You know what I mean? Come on. Like, come on. Like these guys, come on. You know? Some Transformer abuse there. But like they're indestructible, a lot of these newer toys. So not all of them, but most of them. Butters is like, what the hell is he doing? It's going to be a stressful 3-hour drive when I get loaded up. Well, again, I'm thinking from my perspective, thousands of figures, a lot of them vintage. If a majority of your collection is new stuff, then it's not that big a deal. You know, I would just try to isolate the gold plastic ones. The ones that have a history, like masterpiece stuff. Certain masterpiece stuff that might have fragilities in certain joints and everything that are more modern stuff. Kind of like isolate those. Well, paint damage again. How do you avoid paint damage? The biggest way to avoid it is the Ziploc bags. If you like, I wish I had an example for you guys. That's the problem. But one sec. So if you Ziploc this Mirage and you Ziploc this Bomb Burst, what happens is now they have that PVC Ziploc plastic in between them that's malleable and it has an oil in it. And so even if they hit each other, like if this emblem hits this paint from the here, because now the two Ziplocs are, it's like there's like an oil. I don't want to say there's an oily solution, but it's slippery. They don't damage. And I've seen that throughout the years from doing multiple parts parties and just keeping figures in Ziploc bags and just keeping them in totes, and nothing has ever been damaged, you know? So that's kind of the thing. Go to a dollar store, whatever it is, your Family Dollar, and invest in every size Ziploc bag. You could get like, some really cheap brand. It doesn't have to be the best brand in the world, like Ziploc, Betty Crocker brand or whatever. What is it called? I think it's called Ziploc is the brand or whatever, but you know, yeah, big bot bodega. Keep your high dollar bots in boxes. That's the other thing too. If you're already a guy who keeps boxes, I've said this before. You already still have the masterpiece box for your loose figure. Put it back in the box. Because think about it. If you're bringing that box anyways, and it's already taking the space, so you're going to have a box of the boxes and then a separate box of all the loose figures when you have the boxes right there. You might as well put them back in. Good idea, Big Bot. Because I did that with a lot of different things, but more specifically like Japanese stuff where I had the original boxes. You know, again, why I was skeptical on Ziplocs when I was able to protect them. The oil makes a lot of sense. Well, it's just that it's a PVC that's used for Ziploc bags. Like, let me grab one right now because I have a few nearby here that I use for like different stuff. But like, let's use an example here. Okay, like this is a big one, and it's like this is like you use for one of your big figures, and then you fold it, and it creates that like friction that it just kind of protects it. You know, just kind of protects it. And you need to have that. You got to put some protection on. Always have protection, kids, you know? But you got to put that protection on because you don't want to damage your figures, and moving is the biggest opportunity for that damage to happen. Always. And I saw through multiple friends that have moved throughout the years who are toy collectors, and they weren't Transformer collectors, but shout out to one of my buddies who's a big, Batman Superpowers DC collector. And all his vintage stuff, got scratched and damaged and everything, and you know, learned from him. But yeah, you know, James Hobson, I keep my MP boxes. Stopped keeping them once they got rid of the plastic clamshells. Well, you know, MPs have changed a lot throughout the years. Fawn Heart, same with fourth party G1 reissues. I guess that's the bootleg reissues. Fourth party. Stopped keeping the regular mainline boxes. Well, again, what I did many years ago was when I moved in here, I cut off all the bubbles of all the card backs, and I threw all those in the recycling. And I have this great photo. I have to find it somewhere on Twitter. It's the giant recycling bins, like the huge ones that are like 4 or 5 feet tall. I filled an entire recycling bin of that in Revenge of the Fallen bubbles. I think it was Revenge of the Fallen and some animated. And I was like, my God, the amount of oil that was wasted here. Um, but yeah, I would just keep the card backs. And then through the years, as time progressed, what happened was I was like, why am I keeping these card backs? And then whenever I would get a figure, that if I got a double to resell, I would just dig up that card back and sell it with it. So maybe I could pass on hey, I don't need this animated Prowl card back, but maybe you do. So here, I got an animated Prowl, an extra one. Here's the card back with it. And then I bring it to a parts party and sell it. Why lag why? I can't imagine keeping all the mainline boxes with how much space it would take. Oh, of course not. Well, think about it this way. Think how much space this takes as loose figures. Let's isolate this one little shelf here, right? If I kept every box for every Robot Master and every 20th anniversary Beast Wars, right? Like all of this stuff here, that would take like as much space like here to the ground. Think about it, like all boxed. And those are all empty boxes. And what is the end game with that? Am I one day going to sell them and I'm going to be happy that I kept the boxes? By the time do I sell them, is anyone going to even care if I kept the boxes? So the only logic in my case was I was keeping the boxes in situations where if I did find a loose one, like it's like not a good example because no one wants this, but it's like if I kept the packaging of this, I open the figure, I keep it for myself, I put it on my display, and I kept the packaging. And then at some point in the future, I come across another one of this figure loose. Now I have it with the packaging. I could sell it like that with the packaging. That's happened a lot with me, a lot. And that's kind of what became my logic with that. But that's only because doing TF cons throughout the years and buying and selling, you come across a lot of product. So it became a little different. Uh, I think I lost where we are here. Mikey and Louie, I can show you a picture of how much space it takes because because our crazy butts kept all the boxes, an entire backyard shed. Yeah, there you go. And then I always say the joke is are those boxes paying rent? Because you might as well get someone to pay rent instead. You know, it's crazy. El Kev, I like having physical copies of box art. Maybe it's silly. Well, that's why I would cut off the bubbles because right away you save a lot. Like the moment you get rid of that bubble, you saved so much space. One carded, like one carded deluxe figure, if you cut off the bubble, let's say this was a bubble, right? You now have enough for like, I would have to say at least 10 to 15 card backs. So I would get rid of bubbles. That was the first thing, because then at least I could stack card backs. But then it got to a point, and I'd be like, what am I going to do with these Universe 2.0 card backs? What am I going to do with these Generations card backs? What am I going to do with like one of a billion, Revenge of the Fallen card backs? Like I just had so many. And then it came to the point where it's like, okay, if I ever encounter a double of this product, that's how I'm going to get rid of it with the card back or the box. I had all the boxes for movie 2007 stuff. And I'm like, what am I keeping all of these? Like, I have the original Leader Optimus and the premium box. Like, what do I need these boxes for? Well, if I ever encounter the Leader Optimus, I could throw it in the box. And even if it's not complete, I could tell them, look, it's not complete, but it comes with the box and it has the instructions. And here you go. Here you go. And sometimes I felt that greased the wheel a little bit if it had the box because people would think, oh, it comes with the box. So that makes it more valuable, I guess. Even if they're going to open it and it's a loose, incomplete figure, and they know it's a loose, incomplete figure, but they think owning the box adds value somehow. And maybe it does, but maybe it doesn't. We get into the semantics of that, you know? Oh, yeah, in 2007 boxes being a weird shape. Well, I always felt Armada. Try stacking Armada boxes. Oof. Armada had a very weird shape too. The deluxes, oh my goodness. Those were very, very weird. Very, very weird. Oh, we are past the 2 hour mark already. Wow, we flew today. I'll answer one last question or a statement here. Fawnheart says, and then I'll answer Mikey and Louie's after. Fawnheart, I kept some of the box art. I love the box art. I love a box art book of more modern figures. I'm with you on that. I would love it if, like, we have all of G1. I would love it if they did G2 and Beast Wars and Beast Machines. You could probably fit that all into one easily and then keep doing that. I would love that. But clearly the Legacy book didn't sell as well as they had hoped. So, like I said, actions speak louder than words. And the last one, Mikey and Louie Proto, what is the Energon fueled dinner? No joke, probably sushi. I know it's late, but we're probably going to maybe go to a late night sushi place tonight for Saturday because we're not in the mood to make anything. We were so busy today. We were running around doing all kinds of other stuff and important stuff that we just didn't have time to plan anything of it. We're going to do all our food shopping tomorrow and everything. Maybe I'll find some cool stuff. I don't know. But I mean, man, no more Toys R Us's near me, So I got to go out of my way for Toys R Us's now too. So it is what it is. Anyways, guys, thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, McTanky, for the 50 YouTube members that you hooked up people with. That's really awesome of you. Once again, if you want to continue supporting the podcast and you love what we do here and the craziness and the 2 hours of nuttiness that we do every Saturday, we have a Patreon link down there. Again, Patreon, it gets you your name in the end credits. It gets you access to the Discord when we do the exclusives every year. gives you access to those too if you're at the show. And if you can't come to the show, we'll usually work something out for you to get those too. Um, if Patreon is not your thing, that's the YouTube members, all our beautiful green names. People usually double dip on those because YouTube membership also helps the podcast. It helps YouTube know that we're loved if we have a whole bunch of YouTube members. So that also helps too with the algorithm. But again, thank you guys for all the love and support. You're easily the greatest Transformer community out of anybody. Like it blows my mind every time I do Transformer conventions and seeing how many people have Transformer Slag podcast shirts on and all the love and support that we have. And it's like, I've been asked in the past, like, how come I don't do the YouTubers panel at TFCon? How come I don't do podcast panels at TFCon? I don't need to. I don't need to. I rather meet you guys at the table and have one-on-one experiences than do a panel and separate myself from you guys. I don't like to do that. If I'm doing a panel, it's because we're actually have something to show off with Aaron Archer. That's the only other thing. Some cool like art stuff or whatever. But to me, I feel that I rather just be able to talk to you guys face to face, you know, and that's always way more better. And it's a much better experience. And to hear people's stories and how much they love what we do. And it's very touching. It's very touching. Anyways, guys, I call it quits tonight. Butters is, let's try to get Butters just for you guys. Butters is sleeping. Hey, Boots. He's sleeping. He's going to go upstairs with me now. I know the moment I go upstairs now, at the end of the night. But we're out of here. Take care of yourself. Look at all this cat hair. Take care of yourself, your friends, your family, your loved ones. It's a beautiful world out there, and don't waste that time on this beautiful world. I'm out of here. Take care and roll out.